Hello, everyone. I am so honored today to have a VIP guest, Talia, the founder of the 3-Day Rule. Welcome to the True Love Show, Talia.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Your debut to be here, to be here with you. So the 3-Day Rule, Talia's our first professional matchmaker on the show. The 3-Day Rule is modern matchmaking. Talia, I bet you could pitch it better than me, but they have a really wonderful system where the team really takes the time to get to know you and they screen everybody who applies to make sure they're really ready for love and relationship. And then they work with both men and women in getting ready for their dates, from everything from helping with your photos and your profile to just tips you might not know about how to date, maybe even hangups you might have about dating. And I've just been seeing all these stories on Reddit about people who met their match and the second person they met on the 3-Day Rule, and now they have babies. And to me, it just seems like a no-brainer. I mean, why would a professional person spend hours swiping when you could get matched with a high-quality person? So I'm really excited to dig into all of that with you.
Oh, good. That was the perfect pitch. So thank you.
Okay, great. All right. So we'll start with the elephant in the room, which is that I'm wearing a neck brace today
Yeah.
because this is actually a really great argument for using a matchmaker. So a couple weeks ago, I developed a 16-step 4-part dating strategy. And one of those strategies was to get involved in more male-dominated activities. And so I went to a CrossFit class, which actually turned out to be an illegal CrossFit. And I went in and I do a lot of yoga, but these weight training is not my thing. And the instructor, I don't know what degree she had, decided that I should be doing squats with a barbell
Oh,
and insisted that I could squat lower. And I said, I really can't squat very low. I don't know if it's just my ankles. And she said, well, you can. You're just afraid of falling. You're not really going to fall. And I said, I really think I am going to fall. And then she pushed me
oh
and
my
I
gosh.
landed. The 20-kilogram barbell landed on the back of my neck.
Oh,
And then I'm sitting on my butt. For some reason, this lady decides it's a good idea to hand me the barbell while I'm sitting there, and then the entire
what?
thing drops straight on my head. So I don't know. Luckily, thank goodness, I don't have a concussion. I don't
Wow.
have I just went to the hospital and got a scan, and it's just a sprain. So that's great. I just have to wear this for 4 days. I feel so lucky. I mean, when you're in a hospital, you
Yes.
just see so much suffering. And also related to dating, there was a dad there helping his daughter, and my coffee spilled on the floor. And he immediately ran over, grabbed wipes, cleaned up the whole thing. And then his daughter was complaining that he was, getting too involved with the doctor. And I just said to this girl, you are so lucky to have an
Yes.
annoying dad. One day you're going to be so grateful for that. Yeah, so I think that probably
Crazy.
matchmaking would be a better option for me than throwing myself at sports.
Oh my God. Well, we've never
I
had a
hope.
broken neck, a sprained neck in matchmaking. Well, good for you. I think that's actually amazing that you were doing male dominated activities and being proactive. I love that strategy, but that teacher does not sound amazing. And you should have trusted yourself. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I think that it's good to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but sometimes if you don't necessarily like an activity, you don't have to do it just to meet men.
Well, that's for sure. Yes, I could not agree more. And CrossFit is extreme. Like you went full extreme
I
to,
went full. It was a bit much. Yeah. Okay. So Talia, actually, what I would love to talk to you about is compatibility because I
okay.
have been making these lists. Well, it's very challenging. I mean, I'm 44, and
Mhm.
once I was 13, I really wanted a boyfriend, and I've been in, one and a half serious relationships, and I've done all the self-help books, and I keep on writing out this list of my
Mhm.
ideal partner. So I'm curious, when you approach a new client, such as myself, what are the steps you take towards identifying like, who would be a good fit for me? I'm not even sure.
Yes. Yes, I know it's so hard because we don't learn this in school. It's not a skill that we have. The way that we work, like the process is, let's say you decide you're interested in matchmaking, you set up a call with me or someone on my team, and we get to know your backstory. We ask, where you grew up and what are your parents like, and what are you looking for in a partner? And then what we will do is categorize your must-haves, nice-to-haves, and deal breakers. So
Mm,
what we do is we select up to 3 must-haves and up to 3 deal breakers. So must-haves are absolute yeses. These are non-negotiables, and deal breakers are hard nos. And
mm,
what goes in this category is like it's more concrete. So not core values, not personality. It tends to be something like financially stable, healthy, active lifestyle, wants kids, or
mm,
Democrat, Christian, it's more concrete. Those are your non negotiables. And that's baseline criteria. So, in order for us to present a match, or if you're doing this on your own, when you're going on a date, you first need to know that they meet your baseline criteria, must haves and deal breakers. Then, once you know they pass that test, then the real vetting begins. And that's all the nice to haves. That's how you want to feel. You can write anything you want. Your list can be 10 pages. You want someone witty,
mm.
you want someone who plans activities, you want to, it really sky's the limit.
I see.
So it's
Mm,
helpful to break it down in those categories. But
yeah.
really, what's most important is how you feel around this person. So
Mm,
what the formula is must-haves and deal breakers, and then how you want to feel. So when you go on the dates, really assessing after, how did this person make you feel? Do you feel like the most comfortable version of yourself, or are you acting in a way that's not really who you are? So there's a lot more to it, but those are the basics of how to
I
get
love
started.
that. I love that. I think that it's so great that it's so hard to limit yourself to 3 things, because when you start thinking it's okay, no smoking, obviously, no drugs,
Mhm.
obviously, well, I can't have someone with tattoos, but wait a minute, I also have to say that they want children. Like, how do I,
Yes.
and then you start,
Mhm.
so I think it is really good that that you limit people to 3 on each side. And then, I mean, even before, because I do believe, I think that I've come to that in my 20s. I was much more like, was he handsome? Did he like
Mhm.
me? Not how am I feeling after this date?
Yes.
But yeah, and so, but I'm wondering kind of, even before the date, the matchmakers are anticipating how 2 people are going to match together. And you can have 2 amazing
Mhm.
people who just aren't a fit at all.
Yes.
How do you kind of intuit that?
It's a lot of reading between the lines. So matchmaking it's a lot easier for us to match people successfully than for them to do this on their own. And especially through online dating, you barely get any information about someone. So I'm convinced people are swiping right past their soulmates online. It's just too
For
hard to
sure.
judge that way, for sure. So with us, we get to ask these deeper questions and then see how they speak to us and how they respond. So, we're asking, tell us about your parents' marriage and like,
Mhm.
what is your timeline? Timeline's a huge one when you're pairing people together. So in our interview process, which we're usually spending about 45 minutes to even an hour with these people, we get to see how are they speaking to us? How are they speaking about their friends and their family? And it's a combination of making sure they meet the criteria and a gut, it's our intuition of whether or not we think these 2 people will click. I can speak to my personal matchmaking. There are certain phrases or things that will trigger me to think of someone, and I do this all the time. I was up half the night last night thinking of this perfect match for a client. It's like you
Oh
never
my
know where it's gonna
gosh.
strike, but it's you just have to listen and you end up with, like, certain trigger words or the way that they phrase things where you realize that's exactly how this other person phrased it too. So it's
Mhm.
not one size fits all, but it's basically a combination of making sure that the matches meet the criteria and that we feel it's a core value fit, a personality fit, long-term vision fit, and it's just a lot of intuition. And then we
Wow,
can only get so far. We can present them with this person, and then the last piece is whether or not that chemistry's there.
for sure. And as someone who's going about this themselves, this process
Mhm.
of, I guess, feeling out what are those nice to haves in a partner,
Yes.
because I think we
Mhm.
all start kind of like idiots when we begin dating. I mean, some people are just
Yes,
so
it's
emotionally grounded
yes.
because they had like for women, I think if you had just an amazing dad, you can just say, "All right, I want someone like this great dad I had."
Yes, you're right.
But for someone like me who grew up without a father and never really
Mhm.
witnessed a relationship, it feels like such a huge void. Someone suggested to me to think about what are some of the qualities that I enjoy in my friends, for example. Is
Yes.
there any other tips you
Yes.
might have? Mm.
I think that's actually exactly it. So there's an exercise I love to do where you think about the people where you feel like you are the best version of yourself. So for some people it is family, for a lot of people it's friends or coworkers. Like think about those people and then what are the characteristics that they have that you gravitate towards? So like when I did this exercise recently, I thought about my close friends and what type of person they are and who I am. So first I jotted down who I am. I am like a pretty grounded kind of a yogi vibe person. I'm chill. That's like my natural state. But then when I think about all my very close friends and who I gravitate towards, these are the people that make me feel the most alive and where I feel the best version of myself. I realize they're very playful, they're very
Mhm.
warm, they love people, they make people feel very comfortable, and so that personality is what I would if I was single today, like, I would look for those characteristics in a mate because that type of person makes me feel great about myself.
I love that. I have two really close friends, and they're both very funny, but one of them is just what I love about her is she understands every single joke I make. Can have a really
Yes.
weird sense of humor and say things that are so deadpan, and she just catches everything. I mean,
Yes.
and it's almost more than my mom even. Like she can just get it right away, and it's I feel so seen by that.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's and then I have another friend who is also really funny and just so loving, and but she's actually, she's a doctor, and I was dating this guy, and he had to kind of maybe reschedule our date because he had to work, and I was annoyed, and she's helped me understand, like, that's kind of how it is with doctors, it's
Yes.
not about
Yeah.
you. So that could also be, helpful if you're trying to date people like your
Yeah,
friends. Sure.
exactly. I love
Mm.
that. And it may be like the person that makes you feel that way, that laughs at your jokes, isn't coming in the package that you're expecting. So that's why it's so important to like, really keep your eyes peeled and have like try to pick up on that as you're meeting people. Like maybe there's even someone in your life right now that also will get all your jokes in that way and make you feel great, but they don't look like who you think your person is going to look like. So
For
just to
sure.
be aware as you're meeting people all the time, like how they're really making you feel.
Yes, yes, and I wonder, I mean, that's kind of interesting because I pretty much have 0 male friends. All my friends are
Mhm.
women, and I don't know, for women I know who have male friends, some of the men's are very much just friends for them, and some are more. Do you think that it's a good idea for a woman who is single to try to make more male friends to just kind of understand what she likes in men?
Mhm. I think in general, yes, and you never know if that friend has a friend, and
Yeah.
can put you in a situation. So, like, it definitely cannot hurt. But as we talked about in the beginning, I think it's also very helpful to pick some new activities that you would actually enjoy where men might be at, just so you're interacting with them more
But
and
not
just
CrossFit.
understanding that. And yeah, Not maybe not cross, but maybe trivia
Don't go to
night.
the boxing gym, the
Yeah,
what is that, Japanese
yeah.
wrestling? I won't do that one. Yeah.
I just saw a
Uh,
video that this girl, there's these like high rocks competition. It's a lot of men, and she just went to observe. So you can go and maybe watch and cheer them on.
there you go. I could just be like, "Do you have a space for a cheerleader on your CrossFit team?"
Yeah, exactly. You can be their manager.
Yeah, I love that so much. All right. So one of the things I really appreciate about 3-day rule is that you work with, straight women, straight men, but you also work with the LGBTQ community. And I
Hmm.
think unfortunately in this industry, there's still a lot of bias and unfair treatment. Won't name any big names, and I love that. But kind of coming back to like heterosexual women and heterosexual men, do you find the experience working with men easier than women? Are men easier to match?
Such a good question. A lot of matchmaking companies only take on male clients because they feel that men are easier to match. I don't feel that way. 60% of our
Really?
clients are women. Yeah, I love working with women. So I think it's equal. We're working with both men and women, and it really depends on what they're asking for, but I love working with women, and I don't think it's harder. It tends to be more nuanced. The men come and they're asking for just a couple of things, and the women, the lists are a little bit longer and
A little bit.
they're a little more complicated creatures, but I don't find them harder.
Wow, okay,
I
I
think the
really wanna
people
go
that
into
are the
this further. So what do you think you've understood about women that the other big companies haven't got? When they say something like, "Okay, 90% success with men, but 10% success with women."
Yes. I mean, I don't know exactly why they feel that way, but I mean, it can be when you're working with a successful woman, the bar's high. And rightfully so. The women are looking for a bonus in their life. What typically happens with these women is they have everything going for them and they can do it all themselves. And so in order for them to bring somebody in their life, it has to add to their life. They don't want a child, they need a true equal. And so the bar is higher. I feel very comfortable with that challenge, but it's possible that some other matchmaking companies, I'm not sure, they don't have enough options for them.
So you don't think it's just that the women are too picky?
I don't think so. I think there are definitely people that come to us and they are picky and we won't work with them. If somebody's coming to us too rigid, they need to make X amount of dollars and be over 6 feet and, they have all of this criteria. We're probably not a match for them, to be honest. If they feel they know exactly the right person for them and they have all this criteria that's incredibly rigid, first, if we don't feel we have enough options for them, we won't take them on as a client. But also, the people we like to work with will trust us and they'll trust the process and they'll work with us as a team. So we take a more holistic approach. Every client, they work with a matchmaker, they work with a dating strategist. We might do styling, photos. We approach it in a much more holistic way versus a shopping list.
Hmm.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So, okay, this might be an impossible question to answer, so just let me know if it is.
We'll see.
But I left New York because I just found it too difficult to meet men there. There are
Hmm.
so many women and a lot of few men. It just has this particular thing going on there. And I moved to San Francisco. I met my first
Hmm.
boyfriend there. Then I went to Austin. I went out on a lot of
Hmm.
dates, did not find a match. Then I've been to Croatia and I found the whole dating scene I mean, I haven't met someone yet, but it's just a whole different thing here in a good way.
Hmm.
I've dated in multiple European cities, so I've really experienced it. So anyway, I went back to New York and I started dating again and I was like, okay, there's thousands of men here. I'm just gonna swipe through all of them. And I made my criteria really specific and I ended up finding two men who met all of my criteria on paper. And I showed up on the date, they did everything right. they were kind, they were tall. Good job being tall. They paid the bill, and there was just it was something was missing, and that I just really it wasn't like, "Oh, there's no spark." It was more of a feeling of revulsion, like, this is just not someone that I could be
Mhm,
intimate with ever,
mhm,
but since they met all of these criteria, it just made me feel like, what is that thing that's missing? Like, is it am I looking for someone more playful, or what is it? What is
mhm.
that je ne sais quoi? How is there any way to
Yes.
identify that so you can start being more looking for that thing?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, this dating is a calibration. So you need to test different types to see how they make you
Mm,
feel. I mean, I would recommend opening up the criteria as much as you feel comfortable, especially if you're online dating. Like, really, at the end of the day, is that inch or two going to matter in 20 years? No, it's not. So, height probably, I mean, it depends what you were searching for, but maybe you can loosen up on height and open up on something
oh,
else.
yeah.
And then
Height's always
A
the
B
best thing to
test.
cross off first because it's so
Yeah.
silly in a 0 relationship to
Yes.
attraction
Well,
or really anything else, yeah.
you just never know. Like, a lot of our clients come to us in the beginning with certain criteria, and at the end, they marry someone different, and it takes some calibration, some A B testing, and understanding how did you feel? So every time our clients go on a date after we do post date feedback with both parties, and we're figuring out what did you like? How did you feel around them? Did you feel relaxed? Did you feel playful? We're asking them a set of questions to assess how they felt. Are you curious to learn more? Are you remotely attracted
Mhm.
to them? And that way, I feel if you are curious to learn more, if there's some mystery and you are remotely attracted to them and they seem kind, it's worth it to go on another date just to see
For
if you
sure.
can see a different side to them, if they can open up in a different way. Maybe you do an activity that will bring out a more playful side, and then you can assess. It's very hard on the first date because people are coming nervous and you're essentially meeting a stranger. So if you are curious to learn more, it's always worth it to go on another date. But I would recommend opening up the criteria a little bit, testing some different types of people, journaling after the date, what you liked, what you really didn't
Mm,
like. If maybe you felt very comfortable around this person, but then you found you weren't attracted to them. Okay, well, that's a really important mental note. Maybe you can find that in someone else that you find attractive. So it's can be a process to figure all of this out, and it can be time consuming, but you will start to pick up on the themes. And if you have the luxury of working with the matchmaker, you can fast track that process.
I love that. How about for wonderful people who come to you and you sense that they might not be quite ready? I did hypnotherapy. I found it just
Hmm.
unlocked so much for me. That was right before I
Great.
met my first boyfriend. And, I've done group therapy as well. I've also done one-on-one therapy, and I found at a certain point the kind of analytical part had its limitations. Are there any books or tools that
Yes.
you recommend to people who might not be who want it, but just need to kind of orient themselves a little bit more before they
Hmm.
get matched?
Yes. It's a good question. Okay. First of all, I don't feel anyone is ever ready for
I
matchmaking.
love that.
It is ready is like it's really just means you're prioritizing yourself. So almost everyone I talk to will say like, "Oh, I'm really interested and I want to find a partner, but I just don't feel ready." That's because you probably will never feel ready. Ready is a feeling and you'll never fully feel like complete and ready to find your person. It's more of a decision you make to prioritize yourself. However, sometimes people do come and I don't feel they're ready to even be on a date. Maybe they're still grieving a past relationship. In that
Mm,
case, I would recommend they start with coaching. So we have a team of coaches. We call them dating strategists, and it's like dating therapy. So sometimes I'll recommend they start with the coaching and then they go into the matchmaking.
I love that. So so I've also kind of heard some buzz that occasionally people will meet for a first date and one of the parties will say, I'm not so sure I want to go on a second date with this person. And then you just give them a gentle little push, and then
Yes,
the next
yes.
thing you know, they're married. Tell me a little bit about what kinds of things you say at that time and what the resistance is
Mhm.
like.
Yes. I would say, and no exaggeration, most of the couples that get married through our service, it's usually the woman in a heterosexual relationship is not sure on the first date.
Hmm.
Typically, what happens is the man will come back and say, "She's great, amazing. I can't wait to meet her again." And the woman will be cautiously optimistic or like really even sometimes on the fence. And so we encourage them, we go through again that whole set of questions and just say, it sounds like it's worth another shot. Like, let's go on a second date. And what happens typically is on that second date, third date, fourth date, all of a sudden something clicks and they realize, wow, this is who I've been looking for. So it is very rarely where two people come back after the first date and say, like, see you at the wedding. Usually one person's not 100% in. And with matchmaking, because they come back to us, we have a conversation about it. Usually we're nudging them to go on that second date if we can sense that there's some potential.
Yeah, and I just feel like there's also that element of accountability when you don't have a community, when you're not working at the same workplace. That people might say, I don't know." But with the
Mhm.
matchmaker, you can kind of help people get past their fears and take another look, which is really nice. Hmm.
Yes. And another
Are-
great thing about matchmaking is it narrows the pool to intentional daters. So you know that the people that are coming to matchmakers and working with us and in our network, they're looking for something serious and they're dating intentionally. And so that feels a little bit different than if you just meet a random stranger online. But this, already know you're meeting somebody that's taking it seriously.
Do you ever have men come to you and say, "I just want to hook up"?
Very rarely,
Right.
truthfully, very rarely. If they're looking for casual dating, they're not going to jump through all the hoops it takes to go on a date through a matchmaker. They'll just stay on Tinder.
Okay. It's good to know, which leads us into one of the most popular questions from listeners, which is, "Do all men just suck?" I think I see this a little bit more with women 10 years younger than me. I myself am
Mhm.
really trying to working on and cultivating a positive attitude towards men. Um, Thoughts?
Yes. My thoughts are the people that I'm meeting with, the men that come to us like through matchmaking, they're amazing. They're gems. Like the way that they talk to us about what they're looking for, they're intentional. They have everything going for them. They're gems, but it's very hard to meet these people out in the real world because they're going to work, they're living full lives, and they might go to the gym and then they go home. So I think there are all these incredible people out there in their homes and they're not actually meeting people. It used to be that we would go to the bars to meet, but more and more people aren't drinking. They're not heading to the bars. So there are all these gems, but people aren't meeting each other. And that's why matchmaking is so helpful. I do. And also the men coming to us, they have that growth mindset. Outside of matchmaking, I do think that the women are incredible and the men, like, they're not quite as evolved emotionally. And a lot of them don't have a growth mindset like the men that we work with. So I understand why some women, especially if you're doing the apps, come back and feel like the guys suck. But truthfully,
Mhm.
there are so many incredible gems that have that growth mindset. They're just not meeting these women.
Hmm. Yes, and it's nice to see that dating apps and matchmaking are becoming destigmatized in our world, I mean, it seems it's so time consuming to use these apps, and I've actually hired someone to text for me, and it was very effective because I'm trying to run a
Mhm.
startup here. I don't have 2 hours a day to try to, sort through,
Yes.
1 out of 10, people on Tinder may have a secure attachment. maybe 1 out of 100. Who
if
knows if they're
that.
even gonna
Yes.
be interested in me or and it's just it makes so much sense that that's something that you would outsource, and also there's a long history to matchmaking, isn't there?
Yes. And the average online dater spends 12 hours a week online. So you're right. Like it is very much a part-time job. And also, I think it's great that you hired someone to help you, but a lot of people are doing that. But it also means you don't even know who you're talking to. You know,
Exactly.
like you could be talking to someone's friend or a bot or whatever. Like so many people are doing it that it just is not real until you get on the date.
Yeah. Okay, how about splitting the bill?
Oh, that's a hard no. No way.
Good answer. Give us your hot take on splitting the bill.
Yeah, it's a hard no on splitting the bill. If you are going on a date in a heterosexual relationship, the man should pay. And if he can't afford whatever the date is, choose something else. You can grab coffee, you can go on a walk, you can just get an iced tea. You do not have to do an elaborate first date. And I recognize that if you are dating a lot, dating is expensive. So I never recommend dinner for a first date, although people tend they go rogue and it's fine. I think it's better to just do a drink for an hour, maybe a coffee in a cool hotel lobby. That's it. If you end up clicking and you're interested in meeting that person again, then you can do a dinner or an activity for a second date. Otherwise, you'll burn yourself out and it tends to be too expensive.
Wonderful. So in this age, and I mean, I have definitely have my own opinions on the topic, but I want to hear yours. When, women are financially successful, even younger women are making more money than men their same
Mhm.
age. And people are feminists and talking about equality. Some people say, well, how can you be a feminist and expect a man to pay on your first date? Thoughts?
Yes. My thought is in
These splitting the bill clips
every
tend to go a
woman
bit viral, so I'm trying to milk it out of you.
I mean, it definitely does not mean you're not a feminist. Every woman that I've ever talked to wants a man to pay. They feel that at least the very beginning should be traditional. From there, what I've noticed is it's split like relatively evenly, maybe even less traditional. That people are either looking for like an equal partnership where they're both making about the same amount of money, they both take on chores within the house, like it feels very equal, or they're looking for a more traditional relationship. And so through matchmaking, we get to learn early on what they're looking for. But regardless, in the first few dates, the man should pay for the date. And then from there, it can evolve where the woman pays for a brunch or she plans one of the dates. It kind of depends what relationship you want, either more of like an equal partnership or a more traditional relationship.
Hmm. Yes, I think my perspective is I spend so much money on hair and makeup and clothes and 2 hours getting
That's
ready for the
fair.
date, and I bear children, and I have a period once a month. It just seems
Yes.
my gender has been oppressed for thousands of years. You can buy me a coffee, maybe.
Yes, it's
Um,
100%. It's such a
and
fair
also
point.
someone else will, so why do I don't expect it, but if you don't do it, why you?
Right. No, I don't even think it's a question. I feel the man should just pay for the coffee, pay for the drink or whatever it is on the first date. And then from there, you can change it up if you really feel that that's not the right way to go. But every woman that I've talked to, they can do it all. They can afford the drink. It's not about that. It's just about some level of courting in the beginning.
Absolutely. Who do you find okay, let's start with the man
Actually,
side.
can I just say this one thing? So,
Yes.
I recently had a client and badass entrepreneur, she kept bringing her dates to her club and like a lunch date. And when she did that, naturally she would pay because it's attached to her account. And So, and the guys would say, "Oh, this is the first time a woman's ever paid. Like, I really like that. That's really nice." But I think
No.
it's very hard to have a romantic
Yes, sir.
connection in
Come
that
on.
scenario. That to me, like in that specific date feels very businesslike. So I encouraged her in the future to not do that. Don't bring them to your club and pay for their sandwich, even though I know you can. Go to a setting that is more romantic and let them lead.
Yes, and I feel like that's an area where I've grown a lot recently is allowing myself to receive. My mom, growing up with a single mom, she worked 5 jobs, and our family always felt really kind of shaming her when she asked for help with money. So
Mhm.
I always felt like that was kind of a bad thing, but now, I recognize that it actually gives man a joy. He's been working hard to
Yes.
build a career to impress a woman. How do you I mean, definitely there's kind of the extreme where women just don't even ever offer and kind of don't even say thank you. W It's just
Right.
with the first date, I feel kind of like it's easier, you can just let him pay, say thank you, and then the second date, how it's just hard to navigate. What's the etiquette for a woman in terms of
Mhm.
navigating that so a man feels gratitude, but then also you start reciprocating at the right moment?
Mhm. It's very important that you show appreciation. So if he does pay for the meal, the activity, to say thank you. You definitely can offer. It's just and that's perfectly fine. Really, it's we need to coach the men not to take you up on the offer, but it can be confusing because sometimes they think, well, she offered, so it's. I get the sense that she really wanted to pay, so that it is confusing. So you don't have to offer, but at the very least, say thank you. I really appreciate it. And then what men appreciate the most is planning, like logistics planning. So after the first date, second date, you can offer like, "Hey, I have an idea for an activity. Let me plan the third date." And
Hmm.
that goes a long way. Or you can, do it on the fourth or fifth date. Either you pay for something like a brunch, something small, or you bring him a coffee. But I would say more importantly, planning something like that where you are putting in
Mm,
some effort, he will really appreciate that.
yes, I really like to cook meals for guys that I date, just make a dinner.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's fun. So, okay, is there any particular wording you'd recommend around? I always feel so awkward at that moment. Like there's either the awkward purse shuffle, or I'll say something. Would you like
Yes.
me to contribute? I don't know. It just
Yes.
can you give me a phrase to just put in my pocket? The fake offer, the offer you
Yeah,
hope I refuse.
I mean, I think it's just the bending of the purse, like, I don't even think I don't know that I love, "Would you like me to contribute?" I would that
So awkward,
it is
sir.
so awkward. I would just, like, lean into the purse and be like, "Can I get this?" And then let they will say, "No, I got it. Thank you, I really appreciate that." I think
That's a nice one. "Can I get this?
yeah.
Please say no."
Yeah, please say no
Thank
exactly.
you. Don't
It
don't
just is a
ruin it.
slow yeah, just yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, and then I'm always like,
I
"Are
think
you sure?"
yeah, you don't have to follow up with, "Are you sure?" Just a one-time offer, and that's it.
Thank you.
And then just as soon as they sort of then, "Thank you, I really
Yeah,
appreciate it. I had a
okay,
great
good.
time."
Good. Each time to cut the "are you sure?" It's these words that come out of your
Yes.
mouth and you're watching yourself like, "What is happening right now?" Oh,
Yes. I
I
know it
love
is
it.
so awkward. I really understand, especially, what you were talking about in terms of your background. It's hard to let somebody do that, but
Mm,
just fight it internally and let them
yeah,
do it.
fight it. Fight it like a fury. So good. Wow. All right. So you have these. Okay. So when you see who are the easiest women to match and who are the hardest women to match?
The easiest women to match, usually. So the easiest women to match are the ones that trust us and trust the process and the experience, and they're willing to work with us as experts. And usually, what happens is they end up marrying someone outside of their criteria.
Mhm.
So they trust us that we're meeting these people, we're getting to know them, and that we're sending them only the most compatible matches. So I love working with those people. I also really love working with women who want to learn about themselves. They want to really invest in the entire process with the and they'll do the coaching. So the ones that are all in, those are the most fun and easiest to work with. The people who are hardest to work with are very convinced that they know exactly who they should be with.
Mm,
So
I love it. It
because
seems like such
usually
a
they're wrong.
worthwhile investment. I mean, you get me so excited about joining this. I guess I'm kind of just asking like what's coming up for me as we're talking, and I was thinking about strengths and weaknesses. I mean, I think a
Hmm.
classic example is you're really out of shape, but you want to date someone super fit. Or,
Yes. Hmm.
you're something like where there's a real break and, you never got a degree, but you want to date someone with a PhD. So I
Yes.
guess for me, an area where as an entrepreneur, I go through periods where I'm not someone who has debt, but I go through periods where I have a good amount of money and then periods where I feel like I'm struggling financially. And right now, my startup is kind of about to head into a phase where I'm struggling and worried about where money
Hmm.
is coming. And I think that I have a lot of to offer in terms of awareness and love and physicality and listening and emotional support. And I kind of, part of me wants to meet someone who's a little bit more grounded with money to help me learn to
Hmm.
navigate that a little bit better. But then I feel like, okay, is that too much to ask in a partner when that's not something that I'm bringing to the relationship?
Hmm.
But I'd be curious what you think about that.
Yeah, it's such a good question. So first I would say like when the men are talking about what they're looking for, that's not high up on their list of what they want. So at the sometimes at the bare minimum they'll say financial stability, like they want someone that can cover themselves, or they want to know that they are dating someone that doesn't just want them for money. So that is it won't come up as something that the men are looking for. Like that won't be a downfall in what you have to offer. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. The other thing is, a lot of times in these relationships, it is very helpful to have that balance. So you bring a lot to the table. You have the entrepreneurial spirit, you're really passionate. So it probably is a good fit for you to be with somebody who is more stable and grounded because that is the balance. I mean, I I've been in the exact same position that you are
You're also
in,
a
real
founder.
highs and lows. I'm a founder, highs and lows. And my husband's an attorney. He like has the boring, stable job, and I have the ups and downs roller coaster. So that pairing is probably actually the right fit for you.
Mhm,
Somebody who
exactly.
like is grounded and more stable. So I wouldn't view. I think there's so many positives to what you're bringing that I wouldn't view it in your mind as something negative because it's gonna go up and down at the end of the day. Like that's not really what's gonna make the difference in a relationship.
Mm. That's very reassuring to hear. I do try to be very self-aware, so it concerns me a little bit to be looking for something in someone that I haven't fully cultivated in myself, but I do believe that part of relationships is not just finding someone exactly like you, and I feel like even though I haven't really had a lot of long-term relationships, I do tend to do well with kind of more quiet guys who are doing
Yes,
something
yeah,
little. Hey,
yes.
like you, like my best friend and I, she'll be like, I think we should go out. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then we go out, and I'm just the life of the party, and she's sitting back there laughing and watching, and it's such a great dynamic to be able
Yes.
to do that
That's
together.
also the same thing. It's very hard to have 2 stars in a relationship, and so probably you're the star and you need a rock. So you need
Yes.
you're like kinda life of the party, bubbly, and he's gonna be, again, the more like grounded, stable, supportive type. So that again, you do not have to be a mirror version in a lot of ways, like, these sort of balances are the right fit. That's why that exercise, the, like, must-have deal breaker thing is, you figure out what really are the non-negotiables And then from there, like, just have to feel it out. You're probably not gonna be the same.
Yeah, I love that, and I do think it points back to experience. I mean, in my 20s, I never would have imagined that that would be what would be such a good fit to me until I actually had it, and I mean, I don't know, I keep reiterating this story, but when pr that barbell fell on my neck, I mean, the first thing I wanted to do was call my bestie who's a doctor, and 2 hours of sobbing and this and that, the instructor and how I felt and the emotional trauma, and then there's this five-star hotel I really like to go sit at. I'm a big fan of five-star hotel lobbies, so she said, "Go to the Ambassador." So I went there, and the bartender was there, and I said, I need bartender therapy," and I told him the whole story. He's this, really handsome, tall man. He goes, "It's gonna be okay." Somehow I feel so good right now, and that was just the lamest advice ever, but it was just exactly what I needed, right?
Yes, yes. Oh my
Yeah.
god. One day this story, like, will all make sense. You'll understand
Yes,
why this happened,
for
and
sure. I know, I mean,
I
I know it's all
cannot
meant
wait.
to be, so oh my gosh, okay, wow. This is so much fun, and I think I wanna take it even to a more broad dimension, because when I was and talk about love and the power of
Mhm,
love in the world, and I have another company, it's focused on homeschooling and education, and I spent a lot of time
mhm.
thinking about how can I really make the biggest impact into changing systems that will help climate change, human rights, human suffering. And I decided that childhood education was the place to start. And yet I kept on coming back to my own dating life and how hard it's been for me to find a life partner. And and I just kept thinking, okay, like what if I just decide to focus on dating and do a podcast about dating? And I'm like, no, I can't do that. That's just too superficial. I'm doing this really important thing, but there's this thing says because there's this thing in startup is like focus on where your own problem is. It's like focus on solving your own
Mhm.
problem. It just didn't feel
Yes.
important enough. And so when I started it, I feel just so there's something really grounding about it. And I'm even more passionate about my other work now that I'm doing this. And I guess I'm curious to hear about the broader impact of I mean, clearly I mean, because of you, Talia, so many children have been born and are shaping the world, but it feels to me like love is really needed in this world. And maybe can you comment on kind of how all of this
Mhm,
dating and relationships is tied into what we're going through right now in the world
mhm.
and the larger
Yes.
impact?
Yeah, I really believe that like, we're helping people on this, like, micro level, and then they can go, like it's like make, like, one little change at a time, like, then you can really change the world. If everybody felt love for each other in all relationships in community, like, we probably wouldn't be in the place that we are right now. So I mean, I take it very seriously, and I I just know that we are making a difference. And every week we do a call with the entire team where we celebrate the successes of our clients from the previous week. And it's so rewarding to hear the stories of the matchmakers talking about their clients that are going on vacation with their match. They just got married, they just had a baby, and you really can see the impact of, like,
Mm,
how happy these people are. And I especially feel it's helpful right now because I think a lot of people are they're, like, more detached than ever. And I think also a lot of women are sort of giving up on dating, and they feel that they are fine on their own. And so what I'm trying to do, what I'm hoping is that I can bridge the gap and help make it easier for people to find relationships and know that there are incredible people out there that are right for them. Otherwise, I'm nervous that people are just going to be over dating. Like, because it is hard and frustrating and demoralizing, and it's a pretty, like, painful process that I have this feeling that people are going to be over it soon. Not soon, but they're, like, giving up on dating. They're more ambivalent about dating than ever. And so what I'm hoping that we can do is give people hope, give them a community where they can find other incredible gems, and to get more people into, like, healthy, happy relationships.
mm. I think that's such a beautiful note to kind of tie up this lovely symphony of conversation. Is there anything else we haven't touched upon that you think would be valuable for women, especially women like me
Mm.
and, their 40s who are kind of giving it one more go, trying to get to meet someone?
Yeah, I mean, I would if first of all, everyone should sign up for 3-day rule and at the very least get into the system. That's free. We have two different sides to work with us. One is passive to join our network, and the other one is to be a client and work one on one with a matchmaker. So, at the very least, you should join the network and get into the system and be eligible to be matched. And then, if it's in your budget to hire a matchmaker, I highly recommend doing that. It is very, very challenging. I've said this already, but it is very hard to do this on your own. It is incredibly helpful to have a support system guiding you through this. So you work with a matchmaker, you work with a coach. We have this curated um, database of intentional singles. So don't give up. That is for sure. Please, like, don't give up. Your person is out there. I find that when you are proactive and when you are intentional, you'll be rewarded. But it does take some effort to get you to the right person.
I love that, and I really appreciate the validation of just, "This is hard." You're not crazy that you can't meet someone on Hinge or Tinder. There's not something
Yes.
wrong with you. It's just that it's hard, and you can make your life easier by hiring a great matchmaker.
Mhm.
It's so clear that you're so passionate about this and you have this intuitive sense to bring and everything. And so, and it just, people don't have to be affluent. You can join the network for free, and then if you decide you want more extra support, you can get all the people. I'm definitely gonna sign up for the network today,
I
and
love
I
it. Yes.
definitely it could be a really good fit for me to join. It just you have such a nice energy, and it's so
Oh,
lovely to
thank you.
talk to someone who just really cares and has so much
Mhm.
optimism about things working
Yeah.
out.
I see it all day, every day. I'm hopeful because I'm witnessing all these incredible stories. And we had, and I know we're running out of time, but we had a success story this week where it was two matchmakers matched their clients, and both of the clients were also working with the coach. And we were all on the back end, doing whatever we could to help these people get into this healthy relationship. Now they're exclusive. They spent New Year's together. They're traveling the world, but it is a team effort on the back end to, set you up for success. So it means everything to us. This is the most rewarding job ever. I have been doing it 16 years, all day, every day.
Oh, so
It
good.
never gets old.
I love it.
I love
So
it.
if you're
Yes.
interested in trying matchmaking, go to 3dayrule.com.
Mhm.
Talia is also on Instagram at Talia Golds or 3-day
Yes.
rule 3-day rule. And you also have your
Mhm.
own podcast at You Seem
Yes.
Great
It's called
podcast.
You Seem Great.
You seem great. Any other resources people should know about, or is that a good
Yeah,
starting point?
that's great. You're welcome to email me. I'm at Talia, Talia, at 3dayrule.com.
Amazing. That's generous of you. Well, Talia, thank you so much for taking the time. You've been such a treat to talk to. You made it worth starting a podcast just so I
Oh,
could meet
good.
you. So
Well,
I'm
I
so
can't wait to
grateful
see
to
how
hear.
this plays out. You're going to meet your person. We're going to fit somehow
We're
it'll
gonna
tie
do
to
a
the
follow-up,
podcast
a
and
wedding
your injury.
episode.
Yes. Can't wait.
All right. Thanks again.
Of course. Thank you.